So, welcome to our podcast. The name of this podcast is Sports Fan Culture. We are group number two, and we will be discussing what that is. So just for starters, sports fan culture. A sports fan is just someone who has some level of interest in a sport, a team, or a player. So if that's the colors, the team logo, the jersey, the players, the coaches, the stadium, honestly, just anything that links your interest of the team, the sports, or the player. That's like what a fan is. But an interesting question is, well, what makes us fans? And a fan is just anyone who engages in supportive and repetitive behaviors that relate to the sport or team that you're passionate about. And so, as individuals, we have two needs. The first one is to belong, which is where we see in a lot of like local sports teams, you feel like you belong or fit in as you're cheering for the same small town team. But people also have a desire to be distinctive, to be different, wanting to be unique in some way and following an unusual team that is different than your friends. Um, but examples of fan behavior is like the losing team, for example. When your team is losing, you're watching them lose, you're already thinking up an excuse for their loss, or vice versa. If your team is winning, you're already thinking forward to how you're going to celebrate. Another example of fan behavior is cheering for the underdog, cheering for the person that's not supposed to win. It's safer because if they don't win, it's not a surprise to anyone. But also, if they do win, then it's exciting. And it's also interesting because sports fan culture, a wins and a loss, it actually impacts something greater than the team. It impacts the community, and that's in two ways. One, with local politicians, and two, with the economy. So one, like, okay, local politicians. If the local sports team wins, then the local fans are happy, which means that the local politicians will probably have success because when people are happy, they kind of go along with the status quo. And also with the economy, like if your team wins, people are going to go out and spend more money. If they lose, no one's going to go out and spend money. And so that's how wins and losses impact the community. But interesting, a question that was asked in a video I was watching is why is being a fan actually a good thing? And according to Dr. Daniel Wan, professor of psychology at Murray State University, being a fan brings with it advantages. It is social. You feel connected to friends and peers. You feel connected to your university or community. People gain higher self esteem from supporting local sports teams and gain stronger connections because they feel like they belong. And so that is just an overarching picture of what sports fan culture is. Um, but I would love to hear everyone else's thoughts.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about football and how that is a little bit different from other sports, and just going to get into professional and college and see some of the differences. Um, so I looked up a website that said the top 5 NFL fan bases in order, according to Yardbarker, are the New Orleans Saints, Green Bay Packers, Cleveland Browns, and Kansas City Chiefs, and the Dallas Cowboys. We'll start off with the Saints being in New Orleans, having a well-deserved reputation solely because of being an incomparable party city. They have some of the craziest fans. Green Bay Packers play in the most iconic stadium, Lambeau Field, and their fans endure freezing temperatures. This next one's a little controversial. The Cleveland Browns. In 1999, they got their team moved back to Cleveland after being in Baltimore for a few years. Their fans stayed loyal even though they have been consistently awful. For example, they went 0-16 a few years ago. The Kansas City Chiefs have held the title for the loudest stadium in the league at 142 decibels, and it just simply is a brutal place for opposing teams. Just recently, they hosted the Dolphins-Chiefs playoff game, the coldest game in NFL playoff history. Loyal fans showed up, and some were even sent to the hospital due to frostbite and just how cold it was. The Cowboys are really just extremely widespread, and they fill the stands year by year and continue to have hope. Now, with college fans, it's a little bit different. 99% of the time, real college football fans are either students of the school or alumni. They're definitely bandwagoners, but they aren't going to be as big of fans as the people who have genuine ties to the school. I think that goes for every sport, though. College sport fans are always going to be different than professional team fans. Um, I'm a little biased, but I genuinely think that A&M has one of the best, if not the best, fan bases in college football. We have the fourth biggest stadium with a student section that fills more than half the stadium and stands the whole entire game. There's something special about our school and how much we appreciate football and the way it unites us. No matter how good our team is that year, people always come out and make game days a big deal. And so sports fandom unites us.
I am going to be talking about hockey and sports culture in hockey, which, when researching, definitely learned a lot and thought to share a lot of it. So hockey fans have been arguably notorious for being the most passionate, energetic, knowledgeable, and caring fans. Doesn't necessarily mean on the scale of all sports they're the best fans, but when it comes to passion, energy, knowledge, and caring about players, caring about the sport, caring about making sure that they have all of the stats correct. A lot of articles pointed that hockey was number one in that. As Steve Silverman argues in his article in NHL, Why Hockey Fans Are the Best in Pro Sports, he says that hockey is an intense sport that is close up and brings the audience in on the action and the speed as if they themselves are participating. So in hockey, you're so close to the action, you're so close to the game, your eyes constantly on the puck. There usually isn't a lot of things distracting you in hockey, even though it is loud and screaming and people are throwing stuff. Your eyes are always on the puck, your eyes are always on the game. And one tradition that really embodies this is lately, and this has been a tradition in the past, and it's also very controversial. A lot of people disagree with it. A lot of people see it as inhumane, but fans have gone so far as throwing dead animals such as octopuses, chickens, fish onto the ice rink as a form of distraction. Not many people can point as to why. Traditions are not taken lightly in hockey, as we see, and it has gone to lengths such as this out of fans trying to keep tradition alive just to do what they think supports their team. And this extreme dedication has, in instances such as this, taken a turn for the worse. And they're getting away with it because it is masked as fan culture. It is masked as part of the team. And it is something that a tradition has been withheld for a while, but it's been going on for a minute. And hockey is just so intense that they're just saying it's fan culture. That's what it is. Fans in hockey are also super unique in their extreme reliability for marketing and advertising. A lot of companies such as Bud Light, Reebok, and Verizon had an exponential growth in their sales and ratings just by a single game sponsoring NHL. And so these fans are dedicated. They want to support everything they see, whether it's even relating to the game itself. So hockey fans are definitely the target audience as well for marketing and advertising, because they will jump on it, whatever you put in front of their face, because they're so passionate already about the game.
I'm going to talk a little bit about basketball fan culture, which I found was one based on a lot of loyalty and tradition, but loyalty not just to the team, but also to just specific players that sometimes they follow to different teams in like professional or like from college to professional. For example, in an article by Caitlin Holroyd, a news media editor for The Score, the Boston Celtics fans were found to be the most loyal and also had the highest amount of team logo tattoos, which was one of the ways they kind of measured for loyalty to a team. I think that shows some commitment. The New York Knicks fans ranked second and the Miami Heat supporters ranked third. But the loyalty, like I said, was not just to the team, but also the players. And 28% of those people reported being more loyal to singular players than the team itself. Further, basketball sports fan also have a lot of traditions as well, especially in college basketball. For an example, during an article by Mike Singer on the 10 greatest basketball traditions, he talks about Taylor University and how in December they host a silent night game where all the students dress up in like really crazy costumes and nobody cheers, nobody makes a sound until Taylor University scores its 10th point. At that point, they all roar and cheer. And I thought that sounded really cool to maybe like go to for once or like be a part of it, because just imagining everybody being like dead quiet and then all cheering on the 10th point, that sounds kind of cool. And after the game, they actually end up singing Silent Night. So that's some examples of the ways like basketball fan culture is really one loyal to their team, but also just the players in general. And as well as they like have a lot of traditions within the game. And through different teams, they have those different traditions, but the respect and loyalty to the game really stays the same throughout.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about baseball and sports fan culture. So the relationship between baseball and the fandom delves into this statistical perspective of how culture has influenced fan engagement. This has helped shape the fans' perspectives on the games and how the fandom of baseball can interact with the player's performance, and ultimately affecting the MLB industry. It's also contributed to a discourse in mainstream media with platforms like ESPN and publications popularizing the baseball community as a whole. In a broader sense, the societal interest in data has manifested in a variety of ways in which baseball is seen as a valuable tool in understanding performance. Some examples that I thought were needed to implement was collecting memorabilia for baseball. It's often that baseball fans have deepened their connection with their favorite teams and players to hold on to things that contain sentimental value. From a scholarly article called Sage Journals, they have stated that collecting baseball cards has been a productive form of entertainment for younger individuals and also has been an effective space for fans. The second example that I think of is fantasy baseball. Besides something physical for baseball fans, there's also like a virtual display of like teams that people can compose of like MLB players and a way to base other fans to compete with one another, which adds like an extra layer of like excitement to the baseball season. And then lastly is especially like attending festivals, events, and games. The engagement of participating in a variety of events and activities for the fans, going to like stadiums to see live games, participating in fan festivals and events hosted by MLB are ways that the baseball enthusiasts interact with one another and is a quality that strengthens bonds between the fans and the baseball community.
My name is Chanley, and I am a huge soccer fan, and here I have Samuel, who is a pro soccer player. Today I'm going to be asking him some questions, and then he will be asking me some questions in return about being a fan. So Samuel, how would you describe your playing style?
My playing style is that I play with the hopes of guiding the whole team to achieve the attacking and defensive objectives inside of the game.
Nice. What would you say are your strengths as a player?
I would say that my strengths are ensuring communication with my team is a top priority, challenging direction on the field, and balancing my endurance and composure while trying to make a goal and achieving a win.
Wow, I can see why you're such a good player. Why did you choose soccer out of all sports?
I chose soccer because ever since I was younger, I've always been fascinated about the sport and in the players. Seeing the connection and the teamwork, pride, and bravery always interested me, as well as looking up to the legends and how impactful they can be to all the fans around the world.
Very true. Awesome.
So my question is, do you know what the extreme soccer fans are called?
I think there are 7 types. Is that right?
Yes.
The diehard, the coach, the bandwagoner, the emotional roller coaster, the local legend, the kiddies, and the hooligans, right?
Yes, I believe so. Which diehard fan would you place yourself as?
I would say I'm a diehard soccer fan, especially when it comes to the United States soccer team. You won't catch me missing a game of theirs.
That's cool.
And then I had some facts here that I wanted to tell you as a soccer fan. I'm sure you already know some of them, but I wanted to reinstate them for you. More than half of the respondents who identified as soccer fans were under the age of 45, compared to the NBA, NFL, and MLB. MLS says that it boasts the youngest fan base of any men's pro league in the country. For men's soccer teams. So I thought that was cool. And they're also soccer fans are known to be younger than any other sport fans in the country.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right? Well, that concludes our podcast for the day. We thank y'all for listening and hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's day.